Welcome to the End Time Prophecies podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We will be discussing the warning signs upon us.
About 10 years ago, from astral pastry claiming to be leaked up the Nibiru system legit. Well, they listen, there is a photograph of a system that has small red dots around a bigger red dot, right? But that picture was taken a long time ago. Now, you guys, I know I go against the grain, I do. Lord, forgive me, because I go against the grain. I really don't subscribe to Zechariah Sitchin's interpretation of what he was trying to write. And the reason I do not is because I know about what happened in the 90s. I know about that. And his interpretations were kind of off. Right, it's kind of like, I don't want to get myself in trouble here because people have made livings off this stuff, but it's kind of like Quetzalcoatl, right? The Mayan happenings. Sometimes I think that people jumped the gun. They got the information, got excited. They were learning something new, published their findings too quick without the proper research. As time goes on, we get closer and closer to truth. We do. Things change as time goes on because we find new things, right? And concerning Nibiru, there was some Nibiru itself. It's kind of like that word Anunnaki. It's kind of just like that word. And there's a big discrepancy as far as what's been totally put together from all the cylinder seals and all the scrolls and findings. And it does not really mix well with Zechariah Sitchin's interpretation. For example, that humanity was created to get gold. Error, right? A big error, a huge error. Think of it this way. Here's what they found, though. There is a narrative of some beings that came down that regular people were not familiar with. And those people they interacted with, they did alter. Well, that's the story of the Nephilim, is it not? Isn't it? The Nephilim, the fallen angels, did not mate with everybody. They didn't. They mated with specific people, and those people were sirens, and those people became they had offspring. That was the Nephilim. They were the ones charged with doing that. In fact, the story in the book of Enoch and the story that many people know about as far as the Sumerians is almost one and the same. It's one and the same. But Zechariah Sitchin was biased against a few things. I simply do not subscribe to his narrative. I just don't. Especially in light of new findings, in light of a more complete set of the Sumerian tales, right? In light of a newer king's list, all these different things put in together, it simply tells a story. It's a narrative of the fallen angels. Simple narrative. I mean, it is parallel with the story, right? And not all the stuff in the book of Enoch, but the basic things in the book of Enoch. It's right there. Same thing. It just goes into detail about their day-to-day lives and their lifestyle, this and the other. Now, when it comes to Nibiru, right, I have an issue with that word, Nibiru. I have an issue. That's Zechariah Sitchin's word, Nibiru. Right? And so all those who subscribe to Zechariah Sitchin, that's them. Now, the only reason I have a big problem with this is because some of the people who understand the Sumerian language in depth, right, and who had access to the supercomputers at the time, they found something totally different. But I have to let you know that in India, the writings in India and the sciences that were found in the books in India were also in the cylinder seals. Some of those cylinder seals and some of the writings, the Sumerian writings, some of the lost tablets. Right? Because there are stories about Utnapishtim. There are stories about the antediluvian Noah. There are stories, right, that mirror stories in the Bible. I do not believe the Bible came from it. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I know, for example, some of the new findings said that the Anunnaki were terrified. They were terrified of another entity. They called them controlling entities. And they were too much for the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki lost their way. They had no choice, and so they fell all the way away. They were ultimately banished, done away with. They didn't go off to another planet. They were lost. It specifically says they were lost. An, Anu, Enlil, Nehushtan, all these different characters in the Sumerian tales, they're well known by some of the new findings. Some of the interactions with Enki, right, and his scribes goes into greater detail. It's just that men have fanciful minds, right? So back then, a long time ago, when Zechariah Sitchin was supposedly interpreting these things, and he did have some academic qualifications for that, but it's just so shocking that they never mentioned the 17 folks that were with Zechariah Sitchin. You don't like the people who never get mentioned. Like a scientist will go and dig up some artifacts, but all his workers do the hard work, and then, the leading person takes all the credit for it. It's one of those situations. I have nothing against him, personally, because I did not know him. I just do not subscribe to his narrative. I do not. Because I saw something different. They're still finding things from that culture. Still. Gilgamesh, right? All these different stories, they parallel those stories in the Bible. And a lot of people say, well, no, the Bible came from that. Then why did they find ancient writings that are older than the Sumerian language? And a lot of people think the Sumerian language is the oldest language. Wrong. They found a complete set of writings from a culture that is older than the Sumerians. At any rate, I guess the kids that are coming up, when they no longer care about the feuds that are taking place in this time, they'll start to mention those things. But those of you who understand the Old Testament and Genesis, to be honest with you, that is enough. It really is enough. In your time, you're going to begin to see things just like people did in the times of old. You're beginning to see things. There will be a surfacing. See, there's some things that they don't share with people. And yes, it gets to me sometimes because people they have no idea of the reality of this planet they're living on. And so because they have no idea about certain things being held back, they'll never give God credit for what he's doing every single day of our lives. We are truly protected. We are truly being kept. If there was no God, all of us would be dog food. There are beings of hatred on this earth. Their hatred is so intense, there's no way any of us could stand in their presence. Just put it that way. They would consume the life. They would cause a fear to rise within you. You don't have to see them. You don't have to acknowledge them. If they are near, fear rises up within the body. Your cells know what they are. And it will cause a fear you won't comprehend. We're moving into a different time that's not going to make sense. It will not be practical. It's going to be exactly what God said it would be. And people are not going to have answers for what's happening because of secrecy. Unfortunately, people are, let's go ahead and face it, people are soft these days. You have a lot of people that say, oh, I don't believe in this and I don't believe in that. Now, the truth is they're scared of their own shadow. Right? Because in order to say what does not exist, you have to know everything that does exist. And no human being on the earth knows everything that does exist. So how can they be qualified to say what does not exist? They cannot. People are in denial. They don't want to deal with the subject because it's outright frightening. You're in the generation that will find out. You will see it. You're going to see it. I'm going to see it. I suspect that everybody, most of you who can hear me, you will see it. And people are not prepared for it. But at this point, they had the opportunity. They did. All of us have the opportunity to prepare for the end times. All of us do. In Revelation, when the world gets together to fight the living God, they believe in something nobody else did. When these things, when men have to face them on the surface of the earth, and they torment mankind, Lord have mercy. Those will be dark times indeed. And if you want to be one of the 144,000, you're going to be here during that time. That's why you have to be sealed with the seal of God on your forehead so that you will not be touched. That's a protection seal. So when they notice that seal, they're going to pass you by. The Nephilim, in the Bible it says there were Nephilim before the flood, and also after that. I'll submit to you right now, there are Nephilim in the earth right now. You just can't recognize them. There are so many places that are controlled. You cannot get into certain places on the face of the earth. You simply can't. Anybody who goes in those places, they're not coming back. There are stories spanning hundreds of years that tell of groups of these things and what they have done. And not by, some person out in the woods who was drinking too much moonshine. No. Normally by troops. These things are attracted to violence. So people have encountered plenty of things. It's kind of like some of these prehistoric animals they keep finding, these prehistoric fish and prehistoric crustaceans that people said, they couldn't possibly exist. They find them every single year. And they said, well, how could we not have seen them? And there are whole populations of them all over the place, yet we missed them. Do you not know they find a species like this? About once a month, they find some sort of species that they never saw before. They never knew existed. So if we can go all this time finding something brand new that we never knew existed, of course, things can hide from us. And you do have people in the know. You do have people that know about these things and know they're not going to tell you. They're not going to disclose it. Why would they do that? That would disrupt civilization. People would end this world prematurely. If people knew, if they really knew what they wanted to know, they would end civilization prematurely. That's the truth. They would. Out of fear, when a person's in a high state of fear, they'll do a lot. They'll also accuse each other of being something they're not. Right? It's been held back for a long time. Long time. But not from everybody. There are a lot of people who have been hospitalized, crazy, from encountering things like that. As it turns out, we have fragile minds. Our minds, a lot of people are tough, and they have encountered such things they do not hold up. Many people have seen impossible things. Many people have seen very advanced things. No, they're not going to show it to everybody. Because mankind's not in control of it. These things are destructive. Let me describe it this way. To have comprehension of that is to have the comprehension of a demon. To have the comprehension of a demon is to never sleep another day in your life. How about that? If you truly comprehended a demon, you'd never rest, ever. You'd be afraid to shut your eyes. You'd stay in the light as much as you could. You'd be afraid of the darkness. You'd be afraid of other people. You wouldn't even argue. There are people on this earth that are terrified of anything negative because they know what that environment houses. So no, they're not going to let you know. And guess who ultimately has kept things back from you? Not to keep it from you, but to keep you. That's your Father in heaven. But now the remaining fallen ones are coming. If the first group of fallen angels devastated humanity and animals so much, then God started over again, what do you think the rest of them are going to do? That's the situation you're facing. I believe that's part of the urgency in your spirits. And believe it or not, some people cannot rest right now because they know something is soon to happen that's outside of the norm. You're actively searching, but you can't find it. You've seen wars, you've seen prophecies, and they're not answering the question you're asking because you're looking for something, but you don't know what it is you're looking for. You just know that one day you're going to see it, and you better be ready for it. That's a warning internally in the spirit of all of us. And you live in those days where people are actually conforming to something they have no clue of what it actually is. You know, I look at the people who are, they're so enthralled by these UAPs, the subject of UFOs and everything else. They make it a romantic subject. They have no idea what they're actually seeing. But most importantly, because it seems harmless, they say the same thing in their hearts and in their minds. Boy, I like to really know what those things are. That's what people are saying. They're also saying they never hurt anybody. I would really like to meet one of them. See, people are saying this because they don't think anybody can hear them. They're saying it in their hearts. They're saying it in their minds. This is what they're saying all over the world. Think about that. It has not always been this way. You know what? The internet has produced a bunch of believers in these things. But more importantly, the World Wide Web has produced a lot of people who now have a desire to see the occupiers of these craft, those who are behind these lights. And there are more people who want to see them than people who don't. There are many Christians who want to know the truth. That's what they say. I want to know the truth. Well, that means you want to know what's behind the whole thing. You would love to, many people would love to see what's, let's go ahead and face it. You don't have to cover that up. To most people at a certain point, it's a fascinating subject, period. People can, act like they're repulsed all they want. The truth is, when something is not a threat, you have an interest. When it's outside the norm, you may develop an interest. I'm not going to say all of what people have seen are evil. I'm not going to say that. It's that desire for the unknown. That's the invitation card. That's telling anything in the darkness, come show me what you are. That's the invitation from humanity. They need it. They need that invitation because God gave you authority. And people are taking that God-given authority and they're opening doors for things to come into this realm. So yes, you're seeing iniquity rise. And only he who letteth will not let until it be taken out of the way, and then that wicked will be revealed. Something right now is being held back. It has no permission to come forward. It's been changing the concepts of mankind. It's been inspiring mankind to do things they don't quite understand. Mankind has been making a kingdom for something to come forward. We're almost at the hour, 0 hour. It will come forward. When it does, so will it influence. And I believe that that's the day people will change in less than a minute. Billions will change. Not in a good way. People are going to have to deal with the oceans and what will come of the oceans. Just as the Lord told us that things will come from the bottomless pit, people can, we attempt to find out what that is. Let's just be satisfied of the word that they come from the bottomless pit and they will torment people for 5 months. They're not going to kill people. They're going to torment them for 5 months. What do you think is going to happen to a person that's tormented for 5 months? I can already tell you what's going to happen to people who are tormented for 5 months, for the vast majority of them. The day they're no longer tormented, they're going to bow. Do you know that? They're going to bow. See, when you face something that can torment you, the day it stops tormenting you and it doesn't do anything to you is the day you're going to make friends with it, because you never, ever want that torment again. And when that happens, well, that will be the end of that. We see the influence is spreading like wildfire. In truth, when you look around, it's like no one can stop the iniquity that's spreading like a virus. No one can. It's not like your teens in your household. They're getting worse, and a person says, well, how are they getting worse? Because there are more terrified parents in their homes right now than ever. There's never been a time like this in history. Parents are terrified of their children. They're terrified of their children. Right now, that's happening. There has not been a time like this. Then that too was prophesied. These are just not popular prophecies, but it was prophesied. You live in a time like no other. And our Father has given us an opportunity. He's given us insight. We have the tools. We have the resources to really do the right thing, to really fortify ourselves and anybody else who desires a relationship with Christ. We have one of the greatest opportunities anybody has ever had historically. Right now we have that opportunity. But you know what? You're going to have to fight through the muck. And what I mean by that is there is a force that comes against anyone who desires to go in that direction. Haven't you noticed? It's like walking through thick mud. The tools are there. The resources are there. But as soon as many of you commit yourselves to doing something for the Lord like that, here comes the fatigue in your body. Come on now, somebody tell me something. You're being fought on every single level. If you were to sit down right now and commit yourself to something of the Lord, your phone would ring off the hook. Somebody would want something. Somebody would have an emergency. So the opposition is there. Here's the sad part, because I can see this happening. Every day we allow that opposition to win is one day less we have to prepare. I believe the Lord has given us ample time. We're just going to have to fight the good fight of faith right through all that thick mud, all these happenings and incidences and feelings and sleepiness and drowsiness, all the opposition. So if we want to do something impactful for our brother or our sister, here it is. It's going to take everything of us to do it. It will not be done easily. It's going to require everything of us to do it. Now you know. Now you know. See, because in the days we live in now, it's almost like it's all or nothing. The days of doing something easily for somebody else, and it's in righteousness, those days are over. Those days are over. We're being fought on every single level. But God has given us the ability to close darkness on every single level. We can do it. We just have to get up and do it. Not run away from it. Not give up because it's too hard. Simply stand up and say you don't agree with Lucifer. You do not agree that that person is going to perish, and that person is going to stay in darkness, and that person is condemned. Fight the good fight of faith. You're going to have to fight the good fight of faith. Because opposition is everywhere. Everywhere. And that opposition will multiply. We never read in the Bible where the opposition will not be there. That opposition will grow and grow. I'll tell you something though. I don't mind the opposition, and here's why. Anybody can do anything easy, but it takes commitment when you're opposed, right? It takes a commitment when you're opposed. And you can't do it under your own steam. You're going to have to do it in the path of righteousness, or you're not going to succeed. That's what I like about it. It's going to absolutely fail if you do it under your own steam. But if you step on that path of righteousness, it shall be accomplished. That's a big plus. That's a huge plus. It's also an incentive, isn't it? Big incentive. Look at your children, the young people. Do they have a chance? In all honesty, do the young people have a chance? Are they equipped to withstand the divisive enemy that's coming? The diversity of the enemy is it's increasing. Do they have a chance? Because some of these young kids, right, they can't even navigate. They can't navigate out the front door. They can't. And truth be told, I know there's a lot of kids who were born in Christian families who know about the Bible. But to be honest with you, there are a lot of kids who they don't have a Bible. They're not looking into the Bible. They're not interested in the Bible. They hardly have an idea of what's happening in the real world. The Lord did say he'd do a quick work, didn't he? He also said that he would, I'm paraphrasing, he would compress the time, didn't he? So if we expected these end days to last for a certain amount of years, the Lord already said that he would shorten the time. So guess what? Whatever somebody has calculated, there's no way it's going to take that long. The Lord will make a quick work of these end days for the elect's sake. For the elect's sake, the days shall be shortened. That means things are going to be compressed. That means if you're looking far in the future for something, you may want to be ready today. That means the unexpected is coming quick. Or is coming quick. And you're being set up to be powerless Because they know, even those in the world, they know this time is coming. They know calamities are coming. It's kind of like Japan, right? Everybody's talking about this person who prophesied about Japan. A lot of people don't believe it. And there's nothing in me that can confirm it. So the Lord gave me nothing about it. But people are terrified that it might take place. And because they're terrified, you have governments that have been doing specific things to prepare for it. You may not know this, but anybody who speaks something, and if that something comes true, they're going to be looked at. People are going to be listening to what comes out of their mouths, and governments will begin to prepare for what they're saying. They will run simulations based on what that person said to see the viability of their own preparations. Right? There's an expectation of doom this week. You know that, right? Now, I'm not saying just because the Lord didn't give me something about it does not mean it won't happen. It's up to the Father if it happens or not. I just don't believe that these trusted prophecies of mankind are going to be trusted too much longer. That's what I believe. I believe at some point the Lord's going to do something very similar to that. I do not believe that mankind is going to be right about the timing. Don't believe that. When it actually does happen, it'll be in an hour they're not aware of. That's what I believe. It's exactly what I believe. Well, at least now you know the conditions like that, but I certainly do hope. This is why I'm telling you, folks, this is why some things are happening with COT right now, because we need our own system, our own infrastructure. We need that. I mean, we need all of it too. With AI, with a mandate that's coming up in I believe it comes up in October. I believe it's October the 11th, I believe, the mandate comes out. With some of the new policies that are going to be put on the table. Many won't agree with them, but they're coming out anyway, with some of the changes that are happening in America. You guys do understand that America is about to take a turn. It's going to take a turn. As it takes that turn, for example, there are some policies coming forward that are going to change the financial system in America. It's a mandate on the financial system in America. That will happen. It's going to happen. There's a health mandate that will take place in November. I believe November, early in November is supposed to take place. Mechanisms will be in place for that medical mandate. And if you take a close look at everything, right, that's the domain of men, but these preparations are going to become worldwide events. It will affect everybody. Russia is going to be a problem when they lose control of their army. Get ready for some turmoil in Russia. Get ready. The Middle East is going to follow. You better get ready. Because the leadership that you see is not the leadership that's going to cause the ruckus. See, in the Bible it says, especially about the 10 kings, it says they have received no kingdom as of yet, but will 1 hour with the beast. See that? They have received no kingdom as of yet. That means they're not appointed. That means you don't know who they are. By proxy, they're going to receive that power and then give that power over to the beast during the time of the beast. You better get ready. The people you see right now are setting things up according to what they believe may be the right thing to do. But I tell you, evil always works in the same pattern. They're going to set everything up. Evil will come behind them and utilize what they set up against everything righteous. You better believe it. That's what makes me nervous about certain policies. I'm always thinking about how darkness can utilize that policy against the righteous. I'm always thinking about that because I know it's coming. I know it's coming. And this fight, this tension between Elon and the president, well, that means something. So you might want to pay attention to that. That means something. It really means something. There are forces behind that tension, and it means something. So keep yourselves semi-aware of that tension in the first place. Those are called fractures. They're fractures, and they carry consequences. They do. Oh, please get ready. Please get ready. Somebody says, Mike, can you please share more as to try and protect our families? How can we prepare for the financial change? Sell stocks, buy gold? Nope. People are going to have their money. I've said this before. People are going to have their money. They're just not going to have all the product they thought they would have. They're going to have the money. You just won't have all the product. The great selection you have now, you're just not going to have. Have you guys noticed that all of what you used to buy, the dimensions of the packaging is changing? You should be noticing that certain items are totally phased out now. You can never get them again. Right? Remember during COVID-19, all the tiny rolls of toilet paper that were being delivered? Do you know that's a standard now? Tiny rolls of toilet paper you're going to find everywhere. You're not going to find the big rolls here soon. You will not. You're going to find the small, tiny little miniature rolls. That's what you're going to find. Anybody know any owners of Walmart? Know anybody who owns one? I happen to know an individual who owns a couple Walmarts, right? And, boy, things are changing, lining up just like the Bible said. Just like the Bible said. And things are a bit further than what you believe them to be. They're a bit further. Get yourselves ready is all I can say. That's what I'll say. The plug-ins, some of the system plug-ins for people, for the average person, that's coming this year, right? That's coming in a few months, just a few months. In fact, it's ready right now. I'm just wondering how they're going to do distribution. What I mean by that is, imagine a system, right? Imagine a system that does not need your voice at all. Imagine a system that needs the left side of your face to function. You can identify it by that statement, the left side of your face. It needs to function. Just the left side. Security is going to be on a brand new level, right? Biometric access is going to be by way of your thoughts and everything else. It's kind of like the upgrade with Alexa and some of the other interfaces, because Alexa is simply an interface. The AI behind it will blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. Things have gone too far. They have. They've gone too far, and the full potential of what the capabilities of these systems has not been disclosed. It's not. read your thoughts? Of course they can. Absolutely. Your brain has effectively been mapped. Just as everybody's body pumps blood. Different types of blood, yes, but it pumps blood, and that's how it operates. So they have mapped the brain. And they know your thought. Your devices, they know your thoughts. They know your thoughts. They can see them. They can print your thoughts. That sounds wild, right? Please don't think that's some misnomer or something like that. They can print your thoughts. They can extract the identification of people who have been in your life today. They have effectively hacked the mind. They don't have to be close to your head either. You're always transmitting. Do you know that? You're always transmitting. Always. Things are truly on a brand new level. And nothing is going backwards. More and more I'm seeing why. It takes the living God to put a halt to what's been happening on the earth. We're going to see. Let's see. Somebody says, what about the health mandates? Well, nobody has a choice. You'll find that out. You'll see. Well, I told you guys this, right? And betrayal is a funny thing sometimes. Betrayal can be interpreted as somebody enforcing something upon you, and then you think they have betrayed you by way of their niceness or something like that. Betrayal is a funny thing. It can be interpreted many different ways. It can. But see, as the death toll rises on the earth, the mandates will come. The mandates will come out of fear. That fear is going to be used for another cause entirely. We already know this. There are dark forces waiting in the darkness for certain mechanisms to be put in place. And then that darkness is going to rise to take full control over it. Listen, you have a Savior. You have a Savior. You're not going to save yourselves. You have a Savior. The world says, save yourself. The Bible says you have a Savior. No one can put anything upon you beyond that which you can bear. And the Lord will dictate your path. Do you hear me? Not mankind, not the beast. Christ will. Even in the Bible, if you read the Bible, you start to see that, yes, some were beheaded for the sake of the word of their testimony, yes. Right? But let's face the truth. Do we talk about people being beheaded every single day of our lives? No. Over time, people are beheaded for the testimony they held. Over time. In certain seasons, people are beheaded like that. And if you read in Revelation, you're going to see it's a cumulative thing. Right? It's a cumulative from the beginning of the prophets, right, to this very day. It accumulates. It accumulates. But you'll also notice a great many people were taken out of great tribulation. Now, for all you who may not really see that, that means in order to be taken out of great tribulation, you have to first be in great tribulation. So if you're alive during the days of that time, you'll be taken out of great tribulation if you belong to the Lord. But make no mistake, tribulation has been here since we have been here, correct? Right? My life has not been peaches and cream. It has not. My life has been turbulent, full of trials and tribulations, full of troubles. It has. I think we'd be deluding ourselves if we said that tribulation has not come, or that we're not going to be in tribulation. You were born in it. Even the Lord verified that. He said you'd go through manifold temptations. You'd go through fiery trials. Hear what he said this. That wasn't a maybe. That was an absolute. He said you would go through it. That means you were born right in the middle of it. Don't be afraid of that word. Right? But there's a time when great tribulation will come upon those who are in a specific province. See, in the Bible it says those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. God didn't say those in Alabama flee into the mountains. So we're looking at something that will always go back to Israel and Jerusalem. And that's where the major change will be done. So what about everybody else? You have gone through trials and tribulations. See, a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to go through anything. That's not what the word says. Those who came before you, those who have passed on, they went through tribulation. Those who were before them, they went through tribulation. Whether it be slavery, whether it be a world war, right? Whether it be the Renaissance, whether it be the time of the darkness upon men right before the industrial age, everybody has gone through something. Everybody has gone through something. Everybody has had challenges, great challenges that have consumed lives. So try not to say you're not going to go through anything. That's impossible. You're put down inside of a crucible. It's developing you into who you are. Everybody has a time like that. There is a collective time in the future where they go through a named turbulent time. But I'm just telling you that many people have gone through a turbulent time. It just wasn't the one you read about in Revelation. Right? Now, somebody has a question. Let's go with time. Let's get that question in there. I feel like a motor mouth. Somebody had a good question. Let me go back and see where it is. Where's it at, guys, people? Somebody says, it's fascinating that the Bible specifically mentions death by beheading and that it is done. It says, and that is done by the Islamic extremists pretty much. Yes, it is. But take note of something. The beast will worship a God his fathers knew not. Right? The beast is going to worship a God his fathers knew not. If the beast worships a God his fathers knew not, a strange God that nobody knew about, then something else is about to come entirely. Listen, men through times, they have no choice but to draw upon what they know about, right? Right? But the beast, when he comes, he will worship a God his fathers knew nothing about, which means it's not going to be Christianity, it's not going to be Islamic, it's not going to be Catholic, it's not going to be anything we know about. Think about that. Think about that. It's not going to be what we're familiar with. It's going to be something different, something new. This individual is going to do something different. People don't like that because a lot of people don't like that because they know nothing about it. And people want, well, what is it? That's what people will say. Well, what is it? Well, nobody knows until he gets here. But for the sake of having the answer, and I believe that all things are foreshadowed, right? You can see the foreshadowing that's happened over thousands of years of what people have a capability of doing in the name of their deity. And if people worship the beast, and if people worship the Antichrist and the beast, and if the beast worships a God his fathers knew not, will increase that in the earth. And we'll raise up these monuments to that, right? And we'll have people receive a mark by that same monument they raised. We know something different is happening. But there's a foreshadowing. I believe that what we see right now is foreshadowing. Because have you guys heard about the stories of artificial intelligence? some of the stories of what it's been doing and what they can't shut down? And they're shutting people up. They don't want people to tell what it's been doing. Do you know what ChatGTP did and is doing? You don't hack this, right? Anyway, that's another story. But all this is happening at the top. It's making people like me not happy because people should know about this, but no one dare speak about it. But you will eventually find out. You will. Somebody says, studied AI since 2006. Good. Good. Because I remember when I got into it, going into neural nets, and then going into the actual code of developing AI neural nets, and then having the front end of that AI actually produce results is quite astonishing to see. Is astonishing to see. But to know what it can do now, because it has access to memory, to simulations you wouldn't believe. It has access to the human mind by way of a simulation. Earth 2 is on this Earth. It's an exact replica of the planet that's forecasting all the weather better than any weather model out there. Do you know that? It simulates the water and every molecule in the water. It's simulating everything about the Earth. And one of the byproducts of Earth 2, the simulation of Earth 2, is that it is forecasting weather like no one ever could. I mean, I'm talking about an accuracy that will blow your mind because it simulates the molecules of matter inside this simulation of which artificial intelligence learns and operates in. That's what they made this domain for. It is a simulation of the earth and the atmosphere and the elements in the earth and everything else in the earth. It's a simulation, a working simulation. NVIDIA did that. NVIDIA did. It has solved, it's kind of like you have these storm chasers who are trying to, see what the various mechanisms in a tornado, chemically and by way of physics. They've already seen that in Earth 2. And it's real, and it's accurate. In other words, they have seen things they didn't even intend to study. They've already seen it. It's a training ground for AI. And what has come out of that is a system so precise. It can simulate everything you're going to say about 2 seconds before you say it without making a mistake. Now figure that one out. I keep telling you guys, what you have access to and what they're showing people is nonsense. It's elementary nonsense. What you have access to, what you're doing is helping to train systems you would never believe in. And I told you guys this before. Every time there was a security challenge on the internet, and it told you to figure out a certain phrase. Do you not know that you were solving a library? Do you not know that? Those were actual depictions of text the computer could not discern. And so they get people to match those letters. And you have deciphered billions of books doing this. Or I should say billions of text doing this. And you didn't even know it. Well, guess what? You're doing something else. You're doing something else. See, they had people doing this for a long time. You did it for free. You deciphered libraries upon libraries of books for free. All you knew is that you had to pass that security challenge to get to your favorite page, to get to your bank account, to get to this, that, and the other. You had no idea that you were working in the real world to solve what was unsolvable. You also taught computers how to read the impossible text. You did that. You trained AI to read impossible things. And because of that, it can read everybody's handwriting. And you trained it. They had everybody train a beast. Everybody. If you have utilized a computer, you have helped to train a beast. That's something. Well, now you know. You think it stopped back then with that? No. I tell you right now, you've been doing far more than you think. Far more. And if that can happen, then what do you think is really happening in the real world? You see how sneaky they are? I want you to know how sneaky they are. How things can happen, and you're a big part of it, yet you didn't even know you were a part of it. I want you to know that. To expand your view of what a potential darkness is that we actually face. So that you don't paint an innocent face on what you see happening. You're being shown what you need to see in order for you to continue to contribute to a system you know nothing about. The Michael King is speaking the following verse in Luke 23:29. For behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, blessed are the barren and blessed the wombs that never bear, and the pasture never gave suck. Yes, times will become so challenging and bad. It says in the Bible that men, the living will envy the dead. That means you'll look in a graveyard. The people that are alive at that time will look in a graveyard, fall to their knees, and say, I wish I was dead like those people. Right? A person will say that a person is super blessed that they don't have a young child to take care of. You may not want to know this, but I told Angela this a long time ago. I said, listen, when COT is going towards its heyday, as we continue, I said, people will take their young children while they're driving on the highway and take the baby and leave it on the highway. People will abandon their young children everywhere. Those are the times that are coming. So in the Bible, it states, blessed is a person that does not have a young child to look after during that time. Why? Because people are going to be on the run. Because things are coming. Now, I may sound like a crazy person right now. I may. But I tell you, a time is coming. You're not going to want the baggage of another person even near you for fear of them getting you killed. There are going to be people in places that will not make a noise because they know if they do, it's going to be over. Those are the days that are coming. The Lord said during those times it'll be more precious to meet another human being than to have all the gold in the world. And I'm paraphrasing, of course. The inhabitants of the earth will be few. It's going to sound weird, but I've seen those days. I saw the people in those days. I know exactly who those people are. They're the ones who have something or someone to blame today. If you have someone or something to blame for anything right now, today, you're in trouble. You are. But I tell you, with the Lord, you don't have to be one of those people. You don't have to be. But those days are coming. People, they simply don't know what's in existence right now. And because they don't know, they're not going to think about the reality of what people are actually facing. Right now, today, many things are contained in those days, nothing will be contained. Those days are approaching quickly. I told you guys last night that there are not enough children being born to replenish the generation. I told you that. That's something you can actually look up. How many of you looked that fact up? Right? You're going to find that there are 2.1 children per family being born. That's not enough to constitute the future. It's not. There's a severe decline in the birth rate. I mean a severe decline in the birth rate. It's already happening. A new moon you will see. There's always a foreshadowing to major things. You'll see a new moon. That's not going to be much to those who see it. But they're going to be fascinated for some other reason. The moon's going to be hit twice, I believe, this year. I think the second time is when people learn that the moon is not quite what you thought it was. Because suppose the moon makes a few adjustments. Well, there goes most science out of the window. But people will so easily adapt. They will. They'll fight that issue right now in the absence of evidence of anything else. But if they ever saw the moon correct itself, then 2 months later they say, oh, I suspected that a long time ago. So no need to even argue that point. No need to bring it up. People will simply adjust and continue to live, but they'll be missing the greater point. If they can't see what the moon actually was, they certainly don't know what the earth is. But men are going to find out what the earth is. They will. What's happened is, imagine a baby who's 2 days old trying to describe to you what a crib is and where it came from and how it came into being. That's what humanity has been doing with everything they see, attempting to explain something they couldn't possibly understand. Believe the word of the Lord. I do. Man is very young. They'll find out soon enough.